What is going on? What is going on? What's going on, everybody? What's going on? Happy Friday. Happy Friday. February 20th, 8 a.m. Kind of stockpiled right here. I got to be honest with everybody. I got some coffee. I got some tea. It's 4 degrees outside. But I'm ready to go. I'm good to go. I appreciate you guys being here. We finally got through 1 week without Lakers basketball. We managed. We did it together. Can't do that without you guys. I'd be alone on an island without everybody. Without everybody here. I appreciate you guys being a part of the show. Lakers back in action tonight. They played the Los Angeles Clippers. Cheers to everyone. This is a home game for the Lakers. Did I say cheers to everyone? I'll say cheers to everyone. I got tea as well. I got both. I'm set up well today. Got a whole coffee shop here. Just missing a pastry. Okay, we got a lot of stuff we're going to hit on today. I do have a guest today to get us ready for the Lakers and the Clippers. By the way, Lakers also got a game coming up on Sunday. They take on the Boston Celtics, so it's kind of cool as well. You got 2 games coming up this weekend against 2 good opponents. Both games are in LA. Both games are home games for the Lakers. So obviously, Lakers are going to try to take advantage from that perspective in regards to having some home games. Let me give everyone a quick rundown what we got going on for the show today, and then we'll take a look at a couple of the comments. We'll get the show started. Here's the rundown right here for everybody that needs to see it. Everyone's healthy. Talk a little bit about what we can expect over these final 28 games, but everybody is healthy. And because everybody's healthy, to be honest with you, I'm not 100% sure what they're going to do with the starting lineup. They go big. They go small. Is it more size and length? Is it more guards? We'll talk about it. Austin Reaves starting lineup. Austin Reaves off the bench. Probably starting lineup. But we'll get into that because we really haven't seen the Lakers. There's no minutes restriction on Austin Reaves anymore. We really haven't seen this in a while. So something to obviously hit on. Adam Auslund, who does Clippers Radio, has been on the show before, part of AM570. Obviously, you guys know my partnership with iHeart and AM570. He's going to join the show probably about 8:15 so we could start talking about this Lakers-Clippers game. A little info on the Clippers as well. Why did they do what they did at the trade deadline? Is anything going to happen with this aspiration stuff? And then obviously we'll talk about this game tonight. They're second of a back-to-back. They played the Nuggets last night. So, something to keep in mind. Clippers ended up winning that game. What's going on with Jamal Murray? Man is choking at the free throw line. That guy never chokes. At least he never chokes against the Lakers. DeAndre Ayton, excuse me. DeAndre Ayton and future centers. There's an article out there that was talking about some centers that the Lakers could potentially go after in the summer, which, to be honest with you, it's not the most impressive list. It's not, in order for the Lakers to get one of those players, it's an interesting list, but I also think it kind of just signals that no one really thinks DeAndre Ayton's part of the future. There's still 28 games left to go for DeAndre Ayton, so let's see what he can do the rest of the way. Top free agents this summer. This was something I was going to do yesterday. LeBron was number 1 on that list of top free agents in the summer. I got to imagine that has more to do with what he's done in the NBA and not what they're expecting him to do next season because he is 41. He'll be 42 next year. The only reason why I want to bring this up is, are there some players that you could look at that have some potential with the Lakers as well? Lakers versus the Celtics on Sunday before the show ends. We'll talk about that in our weekend preview. And then another front office change, kind of another quiet change in the Lakers front office. And I only say all this because this is on the business side, so this is nothing to do with the actual team performance. But this is just another example that Mark Walter and his vision and his group, ain't nobody waiting 5 years. I mean, they're already making significant changes. You might not see it on the court yet, but clearly they're starting to do some things. So I think that's another signal. NBA news, more stuff on the tanking stuff, and then we'll call it a day. I have a member show coming up at 10 a.m. today. So member show at 10 a.m. Hopefully those who are members can join us. Would love to have every single member be a part of the show. We do a show once a week, typically at 10 a.m. on Fridays. I think that's where, at least that's where it is right now. I kind of like it being there. But a member show coming up at 10 a.m. and we'll reach out to all the members. If you want to consider being a member, it's $3 a month. If you look at the description of the video, there is a join button there that you can join and be a member. It's a great way to support the channel. Would love to have as many members as possible. All right, let's take a look at a couple of comments before we get started here. Let's see what we got here. What are people saying? Let's go. Lakers need to beat the Clips tonight to start the second half of the season right. The beat at the beginning sets my morning vibe. I appreciate that. I did screw up on the beat today. It was a little bit late. Listen, that's on me because there's a time where that beat's got to drop perfectly when I start the show. And if I don't do that right, I got to be honest with everybody. It's almost like last week where I was asking Ryan Romero, "Hey, did you send me an email?" And then he comes on here, he's like, "Slee, I sent you an email," and I look at my junk mail. He's in there. So that one's on me. Every moment is a fresh beginning. Appreciated Ocean Breeze. I think Jamal's third time losing a game at the I think you're right. By the way, we're talking about one of the most clutch players in the league missing free throws. And the reason why I'm mentioning this, Clippers, Denver played each other last night. And I think Jamal Murray got fouled down 3. Derrick Jones Jr., I want to say, fouled him. Down 3, hit the first 2 free throws, missed the third one. They ended up losing by a point. All right, let's get 1 or 2 more in here, and then we're going to start the show. I hope Ayton walks. Hope Lakers get another taste of the real NBA. Yeah, if there aren't offers out there, he ain't going anywhere. He's going to pick up that offer with the Lakers. Lakers will shock the world and win the championship this year. Okay. All right, we'll have to wait to see here. See what happens. All right, let's get the show started. Thank you very much for being here. Please subscribe to the channel if you guys don't mind. We'd greatly appreciate that. Let's get things started. Okay, so everyone's healthy. There were some reports yesterday. We listened, or JJ Redick in his presser that he does, and saw some quotes from that. And Lakers are healthy, and that is not something that we could say. And listen, there's a lot of teams that are in this position, so I'm not trying to make excuses for the Lakers, but we know they've only played 10 games together all season. So when you do look at the kind of the current situation for the Lakers between LeBron, Luka, and AR, what does it look like? What does it look like when they're at their best? They have 0 names on the injury report. That never happens. And this is kind of perfect timing here as we got 28 games left before the season ends. And it's just it's kind of a perfect photo for the Lakers here to say, all right, again, hopefully a little bit of momentum. Hopefully they got all their guys healthy. But what it's also going to kind of create is, what does this look like for the Lake Show? What's it going to look like in the starting lineup? What happens to the rotation? Who's going to lose some minutes? Who's going to gain some minutes? And I think that in itself, over these next 10 games, it's going to be fun to watch. 10, 15 games or so. Once you could kind of start getting to mid-March, do we have an idea what the role is for everybody on this team? Because the last thing that you want to do is you're starting to get closer to April and the Lakers are still trying to figure out their role. So they got a little bit of runway here. Hopefully, obviously, everybody can stay healthy. And if they can stay healthy, one of the big advantages there is going to be that there's a little bit of continuity. So let me kind of tell you what I mean here. Austin Reeves is off his minutes restriction. Ayton is now available and he's healthy to go. Luka's back as well. We know he was missing some games before we got to the All-Star break. So everybody's available. Luke Kennard's in the mix, and I'm excited to see the Lakers at full strength, what exactly that looks like. What do they do to the starting lineup? So this is where I think, again, I get it. There's certain players that it's kind of a no-brainer. They're going to be in the starting lineup. I think there's some other questions out there of certain individuals, but let me just give you an example. Rui Hachimura was out for a stretch of games. By the time he came back, he's been on the bench. He comes off the bench, still plays decent minutes, still going to get starter minutes, has expressed to the Lakers he's okay with it. What is the starting lineup tonight? And what's the starting lineup for the rest of, or at least, obviously they can make changes to it. What's the starting lineup the rest of the way for the Lakers? So let me just kind of give you guys my thoughts, my opinions, what can happen here as the Lakers try to figure out what's the best way moving forward. Is it safe to assume that Austin Reeves is just coming back to the starting lineup? When he was on his minutes restriction, I know there were some games Luka missed, so then that changed a little bit. But for Austin Reeves, I don't think it has to be a guarantee that Austin Reeves is in the starting lineup. I mean, if you're not playing politics, if you're just saying, hey, what's in the best interest of the team? If Austin Reeves also doesn't have a contract situation come up next, maybe I can make a case for you that Austin Reeves should come off the bench. I just don't think it's going to happen. So with that in mind, you're just assuming Luka and Austin Reeves are in the starting lineup with LeBron James, with DeAndre Ayton, who they put in that final spot from the starting lineup. Do they go small and put Marcus Smart in there so there's another player in there that can guard some of these backcourt players, or do they go a little bit bigger and keep Jake LaRavia in the starting lineup? I think I'm kind of leaning towards what I'm going to assume they're going to do, because Luka and AR are Luka and AR, and you need a defender on the wing, or you need a defender in the backcourt. I'm going to assume Marcus Smart stays in the starting lineup, which means the Lakers probably go a little bit smaller. I'd be surprised if they bring Marcus Smart off the bench. It wouldn't be shocking or anything like that, but I'm assuming Jake LaRavia is going to be the player that they say, all right, we need you to come off the bench. And here's what that does for the Lakers, hypothetically, if that's what they end up doing, and we'll find out tonight when the Lakers play. That means your starting lineup is Luka, AR, Marcus Smart, LeBron James, and DeAndre Ayton. Kind of a lot of focus there, more on the offensive side. Guys that could create for each other, guys that could get to the free throw line, as potent as a 1-2-3 punch, if you want to call it that. If that's the starting lineup that the Lakers go with. If that's the starting lineup that they go with, then here's what you got coming off the bench. You got Jake LaRavia, Rui Hachimura, Luke Kennard, Jared Vanderbilt, and Jackson Hayes. Now, I'm not really sure who's running that offense. I'm not really sure who's kind of orchestrating that offense. Maybe they're staggering minutes with Luka and AR so that there's kind of a head of the snake to that bench unit. If you decided to leave Jake LaRavia in and take Marcus Smart and put him off the bench, then Marcus Smart is probably the one that's leading that second unit. That's why it's kind of interesting with Austin Reeves. I've had a couple of people bring this up to me, and I'm not telling you that it's going to happen, but that's why the Reeves piece is interesting, because Reeves can literally just completely dominate that second unit that comes in and then still play a lot of minutes with Luka and with LeBron and everything else. I'm curious to see what it looks like. I think it's a fair conversation to have. I could make a case that you should bring Austin Reeves off the bench. I just don't think it's going to happen, so I don't think it's much of a conversation. I can also make a case that Jake LaRavia should be in the starting lineup so that you got a little bit more size. Certainly a Jake LaRavia, what is he going to do? He's not asking for the ball. The guy's just going to try to do all the dirty work. And then Marcus Smart can kind of orchestrate some things coming off the bench. But you could tell that, what's the natural role for all of these players? And there are going to be players that are not playing their more natural role. They got to figure out what that starting lineup balance is going to be with the bench. And this is a good problem to have, because this is going to be really one of the first times for JJ Redick where he's got a little bit of, hey, I can use every tool that I have, rather in the past, every time, I'm trying to figure things out, another tool is gone, and then this tool is gone. And you're trying to work with what you have and make the best of it. And I think tonight is a great indication. It's the healthiest the Lakers have been all season. I mean, just for me to be completely frank and honest, this is the healthiest that the Lakers have been all season. So you should be excited about that. Again, I'm going to say this. The next 10 to 15 games, we should have a much better understanding of what this Lakers team is, what it looks like, and then what the potential is for the rest of the way. Plus, they're going to play some good teams, so that's going to be exciting as well. I want to see all that. All right, let's give a quick shout-out here. Like I mentioned, we're going to have a guest come up in a couple of minutes here. But let me give a quick shout-out to Harrah's Resort SoCal. It's a brand-new partner of ours, phenomenal partner. They are located in North San Diego in the Palomar Mountains. Got the website up here. I would definitely encourage people to go take a look and just see if this is something that you want to take your family to or your partner to or something like that. What I will tell you is we have a special going right now where you get 20% off if you book through us. So any listener that is interested, there are some restrictions that apply. It's predominantly on the weekdays where you could take advantage of that opportunity. But I'd really encourage listeners, if you're looking to get away for a couple of days and you want to be smart about it, you don't want to get on a plane, you just want to get in your car and drive somewhere, consider Harrah's Resort SoCal. They do have one of the best properties in all of Southern California. Gordon Ramsay's Hell's Kitchen is a phenomenal restaurant. Rita's Cantina, I've talked about a couple different times. I think that Mexican food's phenomenal, and it overlooks the pool there. Got the Palomar Mountains in the background. It's a great place. They're a phenomenal partner. I'm very happy to have them be a part of the show. And as the weather gets a little bit warmer, which eventually it will, and I know it doesn't seem like that today, but when it gets a little bit warmer, trust me, it's a great place to be at. They got a swim-up bar. They got the lazy river, the whole thing. Again, if you click on the description on the YouTube channel and click on the description even of this show, you're going to get a chance to get the link there to get 20% off, like I mentioned, and for your next stay at Harrah's Resort SoCal. So shout out to Harrah's for being a part of the show. HarrahSoCal.com is the website. Shout out to them for obviously being a part of the mix here. Okay, as I mentioned, we do have a guest today. He's been on the show a couple different times, has come on every time the Lakers play the Clippers. So I'm excited to have Adam Auslund a part of the show. Let's get Adam all set up here. There he is. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Alan. Thanks for having me back on. I think the last two times I came on, the Clippers ended up winning that game against the Lakers. So I'm hopefully good luck again for Clippers fans.
Sorry, but the audio is not working on my end, so I didn't hear anything you said. Maybe you said that you might have mentioned something about two previous games that went on. That part I didn't hear. I'm pretty sure I can hear everything moving forward, but I didn't hear that portion of it. That's the only part that I lost you on.
My only point was that the Clippers were able to win the last couple times I was on.
Right. I was better off just admitting that I heard you the first time, so I didn't have to hear it twice.
Well, I'm sorry to bring up a sore subject, but I do think this is going to be a tough game because the Clippers don't have the rest advantage this time around. The Lakers will have that, but we'll see. This is a new look Clippers team now.
Okay, so I got, at the trade deadline, I wanted to connect with you because I had so many questions. I'm like, all right, but they got a game coming up, so I think this is now the time to do it. First off, thanks for the time, brother. I always appreciate it. So they Clippers win yesterday. They beat Denver. Phenomenal game. I mean, obviously coming down to the wire. Kind of odd here. I've seen this a couple different games. Jamal Murray. What's going on with Jamal Murray mentally in these last couple of weeks? He's missed free throws to tie games or win games, and obviously misses that free throw yesterday. Before I get into what happened at the trade deadline, some other things that are going on around the Lakers and getting ready for the game tonight. Benedict Mathurin, new look Clippers, kind of like we talked about. What did it look like yesterday against Denver? A great test for the Clippers. And now they're just one game below 500. Obviously, we knew how the Clippers started.
Yeah, Benedict looked amazing. He tied a career high with 38 points in that ball game. I have been high on him going back to Arizona. Remember when he was coming out of the draft, some said he was Kawhi light or Kawhi-like in some ways because he had this, a mature NBA ready body to him where he's physical out there. He gets to his spots, and he also is capable of being a two-way player. Now, the issue with the Pacers was he didn't show that two-way player ability enough out there. He did in some big moments. He had multiple 20-point games in the NBA Finals last season, but could he do all the little things and not just be a scorer? Well, with the Clippers so far, he has been doing the little things. He's had 3 steals in all 3 games he has played in, and he actually wasn't scoring much the first 2 games. It was everything but that. So we were waiting for that eruption to happen. It happened in his first game last night at Intuit Dome in front of the home crowd, and that's exactly what the Clippers have needed. Somebody else that can get 30 for them with ease and not put everything on Kawhi, who's been on this incredible extended run the last couple of months. He's looked like the best player in the NBA, but it's not going to last forever, that level of efficiency. So somebody else has to step up. Benedict Mathurin able to supplement things in the scoring category for them. And last night, I don't put this on Jamal Murray having the yips at the free throw line. I put it, and I give credit to the Clippers wall, because that wall, and I said it pregame, and I actually pulled the video. As soon as I saw Denver and where they were shooting at to start the ball game, I said, oh, they're going against the wall in the second half. 51 rows straight up, no suites, the fan section, the college rowdy section, and into a dome. And so I knew they'd be going up against it. And I said, I don't know if they want to be doing that. And sure enough, Jamal Murray on that third free throw misses it with 0.9 seconds left. Clippers go on to win that ball game.
Well, listen, this might surprise you here a little bit, but I stare at the standings and I got to see what's going on here. So yesterday, Laker fans had to cheer for the Clippers. It was in the Lakers' interest to have Denver lose that game. So I'm down to give the wall a little bit credit for yesterday. I got no problem with that, as long as the Lakers are a little bit closer in the standings to the Denver Nuggets. You know that 3 through 7 is basically a game and a half, 2 games. So each one of these games obviously means something. Okay, just so I know too, is Kawhi on any restriction for a back-to-backs or anything like? Should Kawhi playing tonight?
He's been on a minutes restriction, but he has been playing back-to-backs.
Okay.
He had a left knee issue, a right ankle issue, and a hand issue. I wasn't even sure if he was going to play in the All-Star game. Luckily, he did and played very well and gave them a great showing and a great moment there. But he only ended up playing 32 minutes last night. And believe it or not, Kawhi didn't score a field goal the last 16 minutes of the game. That was the other impressive part of this Clippers victory.
Okay, so let's I know we could hit on a lot for tonight's game, but I think for me, I'm going to jump around a little bit. Clippers were a team that were playing very well, and all of a sudden trade deadline's coming, and you get a couple of reports prior. And by the way, I've said this, and I don't think what they did. I don't mind their strategy here. I think here's the reality for the Clippers, and you could tell me what you think. But if you're a squad that, yes, they're playing good basketball. Yes, they've turned around their season. Yes, they're 1 game below 500. Here's the reality. As great as the Clippers have been over, call it a couple of months or how many games that's been, at the end of the day, if I said, hey, give me some of the favorites to come out of the Western Conference, I don't know where Clippers are going to be on your list, but they're not going to be very high on my list. And if they're the oldest team in the NBA, and you're kind of starting to think here, well, what happens after this Kawhi, James Harden era, if you want to call it? I don't have any issue with the Clippers starting to think to themselves, how can we think for the future? What is it going to look like down the road? James Harden wants to get paid. The Zubac one's interesting, so I'll ask you about that. But how surprised were you that the deadline ended and you're like, yeah, the 2 major pieces are gone. They obviously go out and they acquire Darius Garland, but they also got a lot younger in this process as well. What did you make of what they did at the deadline?
I think they were obviously very opportunistic, and they saw an opportunity where Ivica Zubac, they could, I don't want to say sell high, because I don't think Ivica Zubac's value is about to drop off a cliff or anything like that. I think he's going to be very good for the Indiana Pacers.
I was going to say, especially for the Pacers, I like him there.
Yeah, and they're going to be back in the contender mix next season in the Eastern Conference, no doubt about it. But this Clippers team, I think, in some ways torpedoed their contender status that we thought they were going to have coming into this season when they started 6-21. You start 6-21, you put yourself behind the 8 ball to the point where they've been 21-7 since then, and they're still a game under 500, and they're still in the play-in. And it just hurts your chances so much of getting back into being in the contender race, especially in the Western Conference, that you have to start thinking about the future. And I always say the contender point because Kawhi's mentioned it, Lawrence Frank has mentioned it. They both have said pretty explicitly, we're not a contender right now. And that's really the first time we've heard that in a long time since they brought in Kawhi and Paul George, that they have said it plainly that we're not a contender right now. Now, some of the fans feel otherwise after last night's big victory and seeing Benedict Mathurin play that well. But I think that's the truth, because what's their ceiling? Let's say they can get in the 7-8 play-in matchup. Well, you win that, you're the 7th seed. Now, you take on San Antonio maybe in the first round. I give them a puncher's chance. San Antonio doesn't have a ton of playoff experience, but they still have a ton of talent, and they have Wemby. but I would give them a shot. If they're in the 1-8 against OKC, I think that's a really bad matchup for anyone, especially the Clippers, with the way they're able to guard with all the different guys they can throw at Kawhi. I think at best you're talking about a competitive first round series, and maybe they get out of it somehow if they draw the right opponent, but they're not going much further than that. So you got to look towards the future, and that's what they did. I think it was smart. They got a couple of first round picks from Indiana. They also get Benedict Mathurin, who has already paid off. But this is a team that was devoid of so many first round picks for so long, obviously, since the SGA trade. You got to make that move. And then if James Harden wants out, and I don't think they were looking to make either of these moves, but when James Harden, made it pretty clear to the Clippers that he was looking to move on, because it wasn't that he wanted to leave the Clippers, it's that he wanted to get paid. Yeah. And get that extension. It wasn't going to happen with the Clippers. Once he found that out, he was out. That was it. And it made sense. But you get Darius Garland, who hasn't even played yet, who's 10 years younger.
Sure.
It makes a lot of sense, because these aren't just young guys that, we'll kick the can down the road and we'll figure it out later and we can build with them. They're actually guys that are somewhat proven in this league, definitely, especially for Darius Garland. And that can help you now and in the future. And that's that special, needle you want to thread in this league.
No, they're good players. I mean, both of them are good players. I mean, I don't think anybody could argue that. And I go back to the strategy. You got to kind of know where you are. And if not every team has to do this. Not every team is going to say, well, we're not going to win a championship, so we got to sell everything. It doesn't have to be that. But you got to know, you moving in the right direction or are you not? And I think it's safe to say, if you're the Clippers, why is this going to change in a year from now? It's probably not. That you're just going to have teams that are better than you in the Western Conference. And this is, I thought it was an interesting pivot. And obviously we'll see what happens moving forward. A couple quick ones on, you mentioned Kawhi. We've talked about Kawhi a couple different times. What's the latest on some of this aspiration stuff? And I just asked because coming into the All-Star break, it was at the Intuit Dome, and I'm trying to think of, why am I forgetting?
Pablo? I'm going to start playing charades.
Well, Adam Silver. I was going to say Adam Sandler 13 times in my head. I'm like, why is Adam Sandler's name in my head? Adam Silver, you thought, he's going to get asked all these questions. Just, can you update some of us? Because I think there was so much that was going on, and now it's been quiet. Every once in a while, you're like, oh my gosh, something's going to happen, and nothing happens. Just how concerned is the organization? Do you expect something to happen? Not? And if those aren't fair questions to ask you, you could filter whatever it is that you want to filter. But do you think anything's going down, or at least are we going to get any update as we're kind of sitting here this season?
Yeah, I thought it was interesting. Adam Silver, in that conversation on Saturday, he talked about tanking. He addressed this a little bit. But it's kind of, I don't want to say it's outside their hands. It's just not at that point where the NBA really has to be that involved, because they have this outside law firm investigating everything. They'll give them their results and then they'll make a ruling on it. So I think most people expected it wasn't going to happen before the All-Star game. It wasn't going to happen around that time, because that would be a little bit too awkward, even though some people still thought it was at times at Intuit Dome, seeing Adam Silver next to Steve Ballmer out there. I've watched all 8 episodes with Pablo Torre, and I think he's thorough, obviously, and well-researched. And I don't know if I agree. I don't know if I agree with his conclusion, but obviously he's made a ton out of this, and the NBA is investigating it because of his initial personal investigation and his journalistic view that he has, that he's trying to start something different now online and do it in a podcast form. It's definitely worrisome, because it's hard to imagine at this point that they're going to come up with nothing. Because there's this bylaw in the NBA and the last CBA that said something to the effect of, it doesn't have to be a smoking gun necessarily. If there isn't a realistic explanation or a rational explanation for some of these things, meaning like, if you can't explain away in this case, like, why is Kawhi getting paid was by aspiration. Was there anything he did for them that was tangible that we could find out, commercial, anything like that, and nobody's come up with that yet, then maybe they can just do enough connecting dots to say, even though we don't have the hard evidence or an email that says they're siphoning money to Kawhi, we can still penalize them. And the Clippers have been steadfast of, saying they're innocent. And I think they do have some things going in their favor, but I have no idea how the NBA is going to rule this. And like I said, it's hard to see, and maybe it's just public perception wise, because I get so much incoming about this all the time, that they're going to say nothing or do nothing about it. So I don't know. Maybe the ruling doesn't come still till this summer, because well, lawyers are on the case, and the longer this goes on, the investigation goes on, longer they get paid for it. But we'll see. I'm rooting for the truth to come out, whatever that is.
That's a good way to put it. By the way, I really like that line. I'm rooting for the truth to come out. So if something did happen, it's for the integrity of the league, of course. And if something shady happened, let's get to the bottom of it and figure it out from there. Okay, so Lakers and Clippers tonight. A couple questions on kind of the Lakers front. I want to get your perspective on, and then we'll let you go. And I appreciate you, of course, with the time as well. Lakers 12 games over 500. This is kind of interesting for them. This is one of the first times that I can remember where they got everybody available tonight, literally everybody. And then Austin Reeves also isn't on a minutes restriction. Like you mentioned, Clippers will be playing a second of a back-to-back. Busy weekend for the Lakers. They do Clippers tonight. They got Boston coming up on Sunday. Just kind of looking at the Lakers, let's take the Spurs out of the mix. Let's take OKC out of the mix that have clearly kind of made themselves the top two teams in the Western Conference. What do you make of the Clippers, or what do you make of the Lakers in that mix with Minnesota and Phoenix and Houston and Denver? How do you view the Lakers with some of those other teams?
I'll say this about Denver, and I felt like this before last night. I actually think they might be the best team in the NBA. They just never have had a chance to show it because they've been injured so many different ways this season, not just Nikola Jokic.
I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree with you. And I will tell you this. They have a lot of pieces that make sense. They got a lot of pieces that fit. They got a lot of vets and previous champions. And Aaron Gordon is a huge piece for them. And that guy hasn't, really had any extended time this year because of his injuries.
I'm still hoping that what happened last night was reality, and Aaron Gordon's not going to drop out of the sky and tip in that missed free throw from Jamal Murray, with the Clippers' luck against Aaron Gordon over the years and going back to the playoff series in the end of Game 4 last season. So I think Denver is in that tier. We just haven't been able to see a long, sustained run of them being healthy so far, but I would put them as a top 3 team. And then after that, I'm interested to see what happens with Houston moving forward, even before the Kevin Durant stuff. Just felt like their offense has never fully clicked in. They didn't make a big move. They didn't make a move, really, at the trade deadline. I thought they were going to get a playmaker in there. They didn't.
And I just don't trust their offense. They were one of the teams that I thought had to make a move at the deadline. I mean, they're already all in. That was one of the teams that I thought, if you're looking at the Western Conference, it's like that team cannot not make a move, and they didn't make a move.
Yeah, I was surprised by that. And then the KD stuff comes out. They won last night against Charlotte. Maybe all is well there in the locker room. We shall see. But then Minnesota, I'd probably put right there. And I have kind of been negative about the Timberwolves all season long, just coming into this season based off the fact that their standard is so high. You go to back-to-back Western Conference finals, but you don't break through. So now if you don't get past the second round, it looks like you're taking a major step back. And even if you do, but don't get to the finals, you've knocked on the door 3 straight years and haven't broken through. I wonder what that could do to somebody like Anthony Edwards. Maybe I'm secretly hoping that he asks out at some point there, but I still think they're very good. And Jaden McDaniels this season, the step that he has made, I put them right there. I think the Lakers currently are still behind Minnesota, the team they lost to in 5 games last year. And the reason for that is just I can't trust their defense. I know they've been better. I think the last 14 games, they're 13th defensively. They're playing a lot more zone out there. That's worked for them, but it's kind of gimmicky. They can't play great man defense. And then I was looking this up yesterday, Alan, in 150 minutes with the big three on the floor, and I don't expect this to hold.
Okay.
But with Austin, LeBron, with Luka out there, they're a minus 9.6 net rating so far this season. The big three out there for the Lakers. That's shockingly bad. I wouldn't expect them to be a minus at all, let alone a 9.6 net rating. I think that'll change in the next 150 minutes. You can chalk it up to somewhat small sample size. They've only played, 10 games together. They're 7-3. And I do think there is a level of focus coming out of the All-Star break from them with just finally getting healthy and be like, here we go. This is the stretch run, 28 games remaining. This is when we make our big move. And they're going to be tough tonight, I think, because of that. But I do put them in that 5-6 type of spot right now in the Western Conference, whereas last year, where they end up finishing 3 when they had 50 wins.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to be different this season, too. 50 wins, I don't think, is getting you the 3 spot in the Western Conference now.
Yeah, by the way, I think, I'm with you that there's some teams out there that got their own question marks. Denver, it's going to come down to health. Houston, I think, is a little vulnerable. I think Houston could be let's put it this way. If they win a round in the playoffs, I don't think they're going much further. Minnesota, I'd be shocked if they're in the Western Conference Finals again. I mean, I really would be. And like you said, they've made it 2 years in a row. I'd be shocked if they're there again. And, the only other team that we didn't mention, and we'll give them a ton of credit because I think Phoenix has been what a turnaround of a season that they've had. And they actually have an identity now and doing everything that they're doing. I think the Laker mix, what you said about the big three, it's going to be interesting to see these first 10, 15 games out of the All-Star break because there is when those three are playing together, I don't think it's the most natural form of basketball, right? I think Austin Reeves probably at his best has the ball in his hands. Luka definitely at his best has the ball in his hands. LeBron is the one that's able to kind of, all right, I could play off ball, I could play on ball, but it's not the smoothest operation when it comes to, three players playing together. So how they, how that looks and is it just so one-sided on offense and then they struggle on the defensive side? We'll have to kind of wait and see. And 10 games is not only just such a small sample size, but I know 2 of those games, one of those players left in the middle because of an injury. So it's funky. And I think for the Lakers, there's still a lot of question marks. But I think the game's going to be fun tonight. I think it will be competitive tonight. Obviously, Clippers, what'd you say over their last 21 and what?
21-7 last 28 games.
How's that possible where you're 21-7 over that stretch and still a game below 500?
Starting 6-21, a lot of people were like, this is fake. This is not the real team. They can't be this bad. They weren't, but the record is the record, and there's consequences for that. And they're still trying to, I keep saying it, they've turned the tide, but they're still underwater. They aren't above 500 yet.
I was just looking at the standings when you and I were having the conversation. I mean, they could easily pass the Warriors. I mean, Warriors are right there. That's kind of crazy to think. And listen, what does it really mean at the end of the day? Like you said, you're either getting the Spurs or the Thunder in that first round. Well, we'll see. There's still a lot of basketball left, but pretty crazy. They've been able to kind of turn things around. So I'm looking forward to the game tonight. Adam, you could hear him on the broadcast tonight. So Lakers taking on the Clippers. Of course, on AM570, you could hear him pregame, during the game, post-game show. Brother, I appreciate the insight, and I appreciate you coming on the show.
Thanks for having me once again, Alan. Let's go Clippers.
I'm going to let you do your thing, okay? I get it. You're a Clipper. That's your world. I'm going to let you do your thing. Lakers by 6. All right, we'll see you, Adam. We'll see you. That's my prediction, all right? What do you want me to do? My prediction is Lakers by 6. Good stuff there from Adam. Fun having him on the show, and I do appreciate his insight. They're an interesting team. What they did at the deadline it threw me off, but I understand. I think it was smart what they did at the deadline. I really do. And I wanted to get his perspective on just kind of moving forward for the Clippers, what happens. And I think tonight's a good game. I think Lakers win. I'd be very, very disappointed if the Lakers obviously don't win this game. They're at home. Everybody's healthy. The momentum that the Lakers have in regards to You know, 28 games left and a lot of eyes on the Lakers every single night. LeBron, Luka, and AR, what those three can do together. But the Clippers are one of the hottest teams in the NBA that continue to stack up wins. And might be just the advantage could just be as simple as, well, Clippers had to play last night and Lakers didn't, so they'll be well rested, and we'll see what happens. But busy weekend for the Lakers. Like, just straight up, this is I'm going to do a show on Monday, and by the time I get to Monday, Lakers will have played two of the better teams in the NBA. Not that the Clippers' record is good, but 21-7 in your last 28 games means you're a damn good team. And then the Boston Celtics have been one of the surprises in the NBA. Now, to be honest with me, not really that much of a surprise. The Celtics got a culture, they got a good coach, and if you usually have that combination, you're going to be good. But the Celtics 36-19 without Jason Tatum. Tell me how many teams in the NBA cannot have their best player and still be 36-19. I'll hit on that game in the weekend preview, so I'll wait a little bit on that one. Okay, we got a lot of comments here. I have failed today as the head of this show. I have failed. I'll tell you why I failed. I failed because I didn't look at many of the comments today. But it's okay. We still got plenty of show left, and I'm going to look at these comments. Before I do so, I'm going to give love to one of our partners here, Brad Wallace and the Wallace Firm. Hopefully nobody's ever in this situation or predicament, but I'm going to lay something out for everybody here so you guys just have a little bit of information when it comes to one of our partners. Brad Wallace and the Wallace Firm. I've known Brad Wallace for about 6 years. He's been with me now. This is the second year of him joining me on YouTube. He was with me when I was on radio. Has been very, very loyal and kind of believes in the brand and believes in what I've been building and believes in my coverage of the team and the NBA and everything else. He can help anybody in the state of California. I hope I just kind of emphasize here to everybody else. Hope you don't need him, but if you do, go to wallacewins.com/Sliwa. wallacewins.com/Sliwa. If you go to that website, you could get a free consultation. You can get in touch with somebody from the Wallace Firm. Brad Wallace can personally help you as well, and just let them help you kind of guide you in the right direction. So that's all this is about, is just guiding you in the right direction. The website, again, wallacewins.com/Sliwa. Hope you never need him. Things do happen in life. Anyone in the state of California, he can represent you. wallacewins.com/Sliwa. Again, that's wallacewins.com/Sliwa. All right, let's take a look at some of the comments here, and then we'll get into some of the different topics that we still have. All right, see what we got here. We need more defense in our starting lineup. We need to start Vando. Clippers are quicker, more athletic. Vando's not going to start. Let's go back here a little bit because I did mention this. The starting lineup, I think the starting lineup's an interesting conversation to have, because I could sit here and tell you that the Lakers are better off having Austin Reeves come off the bench. I could also sit here and tell you that they're better off having Jake LaRavia in the starting lineup. I could also sit here and tell you that, no, you got to have Marcus Smart. Lakers are going to have an opportunity tonight to kind of show their hand a little bit of what's it look like moving forward. I think Reeves is going to start. I'm actually, the more I think about this, the more I'm a little confused of what they're going to do between Marcus Smart and between Jake LaRavia. By the way, I mean, if the argument is, hey, put Vando in that starting lineup, I get it. I understand that as well. Let me see what people are saying here in regards to that. Let's see what we have here. All right, people are yelling at each other. You got a couple Clipper fans that are putting their chest out. Lakers will be exposed in these next 10 games. Listen, I think everything's up in the air for the Lakers. There's times, LeBron said it at during the All-Star break. He's like, there's times we look great. There's times we look awful. That part's true. But I'm going to be completely blunt with everybody here, and I'll address this comment specifically. I don't think they're going to be that awful over these next 10 games, and I don't think they're going to be that awful the rest of the season. Lakers don't have trouble winning games. They don't. They can win games. You're 12 games over 500 in the Western Conference to have some of the injuries that they've had. I know all teams have had injuries, but there's a good chance. Would you be shocked they go 7-3? I wouldn't be shocked. They got a lot of home cooking. They got a lot of home games that they're going to be playing. I don't know if they're going to get exposed. I think if there's a time for the Lakers to kind of, maybe they were on cruise control for the beginning of the season, but a team like this, couple older players, couple veterans, things like that, this is when they kind of, turn the engine on a little bit as you get into that final stretch of the year. So I disagree with it getting exposed in the next 10 games. I don't really know what that, what the reasoning for that would be. Let's get some more in here. Educate yourself. Lakers won in 2020. Okay, so this is somebody replying to a Clipper fan on here. Listen, I've said this before. I'm all good with, I want as many NBA fans on this channel as possible. So hopefully that's something that, this continue. If there's Clipper fans on here, you can come in and chime in as much as you want. I definitely want to listen to your opinion and your thought, but let's see what people are saying here. Maybe you should educate yourself. Lakers won 2020. Flippers are 56 years old and 0 finals appearances. By far the most sad and incompetent franchise in NBA history. If I'm being honest with you, can't really argue with that. Yeah, I don't know what you want me to tell you. I mean, it's the truth. The only way the Clippers can really, truly, and they don't have to compare themselves to the Lakers because that would be that'd be an absurd comparison. But you got to win. That's it's the bottom line. You got to win. And the fact that they've never got to an NBA Finals, that in itself says everything. The fact they've never won an NBA championship says everything. There's nothing really to say. You got to win. That's how this works. And, if you're a Clipper fan out there and you're on the channel right now, you can wish and you can hope. And I think the biggest problem that the Clippers had for so many years was Donald Sterling was the owner. But even since Steve Ballmer has come in, still the Clippers. They still haven't won. They still haven't cashed anything in. They got, when they had Kawhi and Paul George, and it looked like, hey, everything's going to potentially go through the Clippers. Lakers went through a stretch where they were awful and they had Lob City and all this other stuff. You got to freaking win or it doesn't matter. I mean, you can bark as loud as you want, but at the end of the day, is there some bite behind that bark or is it just barking? Just being honest here. None of this matters unless you're able to cash things in. And I will tell you, I'll use the Lakers as an example. Since 2013, the Lakers are not the same Lakers franchise as they've been in the past. I mean, they were going to NBA Finals apparently. There was a stretch there where I think the Lakers, there was a 50% chance they were going to go to the NBA Finals. From the time Dr. Jerry Buss bought them to 2010, there was literally, I think he bought them in 79, and 2010 is when the Lakers beat the Boston Celtics. They had gone to the finals. What did they do? They lost to the Celtics. They beat Orlando. They beat the Celtics. So they'd gone to the finals 3 years in a row. There was a 30-year stretch there where I think they went to 15 NBA finals, or maybe a 31-year stretch there. They're not the same franchise as they were. I think that's going to change now with new ownership. So anyways, to address this comment right here, that's what I would tell you. I would tell you at the end of the day, it's all about cashing it in. And if you can't cash it in, then nobody cares what you got to say. That's just the truth. That's just the absolute truth. And there was a lot of times where I thought, to myself, I'm like, I'll go back to those days. Like I mentioned, Kawhi chose the Clippers over the Lakers. And they looked like they had a team that was going to go to the NBA Finals. And one of the bigger choke jobs that I've seen is when they were up 3-1 against Denver and lost. That was in the bubble. So I'm still very impressed that I'm able to hit the mute button, turn to my right, get a sneeze in, and then come right back. It's very similar to running a fast break and throwing a no-look pass. That's the way that's my version of an NBA fast break when I'm doing a podcast. All right, let's get another one here. What do you call a Clipper fan with a championship? That's pretty funny. Pretty funny. And listen, if we're doing a little stand-up here, that's not bad for the podcast here. That's not bad. All right, let's get another one here. As much as I hate the Clippers, I'd say the most incompetent franchise, either the Kings or the Pelicans. I don't disagree with you on that one. Or the Wizards. Put the Wizards in that conversation. I mean, there's some franchises that are just god-awful, Sacramento cannot figure it out. I mean, I could have told you when they were putting together that roster, I'm like, this is the worst roster in the NBA, and I don't know where the hell they're going. They're not going to win anything with it. Come back here to Chris. Chris, thank you for the super, brother. I appreciate you very much. Thank you for the 5 spot. Very, very much appreciated. Okay, I got some more. I got some more comments, or I got a couple more. Couple more things I want to get into. Again, Chris, thank you for the super. So let me go away from the comments for a few minutes here. There's a couple things that I want to do here. I might actually even just share my screen with this one. There was I think we all know this. Is it safe to say that when we talk about the DeAndre Ayton experience so far, I think Ayton's going to be, obviously it's still a big piece for the Lakers the rest of the way. But my expectations for DeAndre Ayton just goes down and down. It continues to go down. The only time I protect DeAndre Ayton is if he gets detained in the Bahamas. Let the man be. But there was an article on Fadeaway World, and this just kind of shows you two different things. And I want to spend a quick second on this for a couple of different reasons. Number one, I want to spend time on it because it does kind of indicate, and it says right out the gate, like we've said in the past, it does indicate, all right, the future of the Lakers is not with DeAndre Ayton. That part's safe to say. But let me just put on here, I'm going to read you guys the front of this. 4 center options for the Lakers to replace DeAndre Ayton this summer. It's not going to be up to the Lakers whether they replace DeAndre Ayton because Ayton's going to have a player option, so just keep that one in mind. But Ayton, I think it's safe to say, has not been the player that Laker fans were hoping for. And people could say, well, that's why you got him in the buyout market, you got him for a discount, all that stuff. Sure, you're not wrong about that. I hope DeAndre Ayton can kind of change his future for the Lakers the rest of the way. But here's a reality. Ayton is playing for a contract. I mean, he's not supposed to be playing to pick up his player option for the Lakers. The idea was he was going to come to the Lakers. He was going to do all the right things. He was going to roll up his sleeves, and he was going to deliver for the Lakers. So then he could go get a contract somewhere else. And I don't know if that's going to be the case this upcoming summer. We'll see. If we said this before the season started, we'll say it again. If DeAndre Ayton is still a Los Angeles Laker by the we get through the summer, we get through free agency, that just shows that he really didn't have a good season. This article talks about 4 centers that the Lakers can replace him with. You know what my concern is with this article, and the reason why I want to point this out real quick. My concern with this article is there really isn't that many players that the Lakers can replace Walker, or they can replace DeAndre Ayton with. Let me tell you my point. I'd love to have Walker Kessler. Walker Kessler's on this list. But that means you have to make a trade with Danny Ainge. And Danny Ainge just doesn't seem like a guy, that wants to make a trade until he trades for Jaren Jackson Jr., but, he's trading with Memphis. So I just think Danny Ainge doesn't want to make a trade, number one, and he definitely doesn't want to make a trade with the Lakers. It's going to be very, very hard for the Lakers to get Walker Kessler. That name I'd love to have. It's going to be difficult. All right, here's another one, Mitchell Robinson, who's a free agent. Is Mitchell Robinson going to change the outlook for the Lakers? I mean, is Mitchell Robinson going to be the future of the Lakers? Is that going to kind of change who the Lakers are? He's a nice player. He's a backup center in the league. So, again, I'm just going to go through the list because I looked at the list. Robert Williams, we've been hearing his name now for, a long time. In this article, a cost-efficient option for the Lakers. I want the Lakers not to have a cost-efficient option. I want the Lakers to have a long-term option that makes sense for the next handful of years. I don't think Robert Williams is going to be that player. And the last player they got on here is Daniel Gafford. They'd have to trade for if they were going to get him. Guys, I don't have to break news to you. The Mavs are not making a move with the Lakers. They're not going to. So I saw this article because, and the reason why I want to talk about it was 2 reasons. Number one, I wanted to talk about it because it kind of continues to solidify that Ayton has not been the player they wanted him to be. He's got 28 games to kind of change that narrative and change that perspective. And when I'm looking at some of the players the Lakers can change, it's going to be so important for Luka Doncic moving forward for the rest of his career with the Lakers or however long he's a Los Angeles Laker, that they got the right center that's there for him. And it's just going to be really difficult to get Walker Kessler and getting Daniel Gafford because it's the Dallas Mavericks. And then the other 2 centers that are out there, are those the long-term solutions? It's Lakers going to have to be creative. Let's put it that way. They're going to have to be very, very creative and how they're going to get a big that matches eventually with obviously with Luka Doncic moving forward. Another piece I wanted to get into here, Bleacher Report. Was it Bleacher Report? Yeah, it was Bleacher Report. Ranking the top 30 potential 2026 NBA free agents. I'm not going to go through all of them, but I'm just going to start at number 10. By the way, Rui Hachimura is number 17 on that list. He'll be an unrestricted free agent, so something to keep in mind. But I'm going to start with number 10. And again, all this is to give everyone an idea of when this season ends and you're thinking about the big picture with the Lakers, still going to be some challenges out there. I mean, still putting together the roster that you need to put together is not going to be easy. They got Dort from the Oklahoma City Thunder at number 10. Phenomenal player, by the way. They got Benedict Mathurin, who's a restricted free agent. And honestly, I think he's going to stay with the Clippers. I think the Clippers will do everything they can to pay him. He's number 9. Walker Kessler at number 8. We know he's restricted. Peyton Watson, everybody's talking about. Peyton Watson had such a baller line. I'm going to read a quote here from Peyton Watson. He had such a baller line, I think. When was it? Was it during the All-Star break? Was it before the All-Star break? Let me see if I can just find this here real quick. What was his quote? Do we have his quote? See if I can find it. I don't think I have it here in front of me. He had a quote basically saying, like, look, Denver's running a business. I'm running a business. I'm going to have to do what's in the best interest of my business. It was something along those lines. And I love the quote from Peyton Watson. Peyton Watson was like, listen, I'm my own LLC. All these other, teams are running their own LLC the way they are. I'm going to run my LLC in the offseason. But a lot of people are obviously talking about Peyton Watson and is that a player that the Lakers can have? He's having a career year. He's been phenomenal. I think Peyton Watson's been phenomenal this season. He went through 15 games in January, averaged 22 points a game, shot 46% from the field. So he's been a really nice player. Isaiah Hartenstein. I know the Thunder have his early bird rights. He's number 6 on that list. Let me just do the top 5 here, and then we'll keep moving on. But these are free agents coming up this summer. Norman Powell, James Harden, Austin Reeves at number 3, Jalen Duren at number 2 from the Detroit Pistons. He's a restricted free agent. He ain't going anywhere. The Pistons would be crazy not to keep him. And then the number 1 free agent this offseason, they've listed at LeBron. Now, I will tell you this. The first part of the article says, out of respect for James' career and his stature as one of the NBA's legendary stars, the 41-year-old free agent tops the list despite his age. I disagree with that. I don't think you should put LeBron on number 1 because of what he's done in the past. Put LeBron based on where he is today in his career. And of course, that's going to be a big name in the offseason. A lot there, a lot kind of cooking and shaking, not just for this season, but also a lot of articles talking about what's going to happen with the Lakers as we get to the offseason as well. All right, let's take a look here. I got the quote here for Peyton Watson. With the new CBA and the second apron, things of that nature, the Nuggets wanted to stay out of that. Peyton Watson told the Denver Post in October, so this is before the season started. As a business, you've got to operate based on what's best for your business. And when it comes time for me to make my decision next summer, I've got to operate as a business myself. I don't know who his agent is, but somebody is talking some sense into Peyton Watson. I love that quote. I really do. I think that's a phenomenal quote. I think that's a great description for Peyton Watson to talk about himself as his own business, because that's exactly what he is in regards to the NBA and wherever he ends up. All right, that's a bunch of stuff right there. We hit on a lot of stuff right there. I wanted to make sure I got through some of that because there are some things that, obviously are associated with the Lakers that could be talking about this season, but also how players perform the rest of the way this year is also going to determine what happens with the Lakers in the offseason. And the biggest name, you can't get any bigger than DeAndre Ayton when it comes to that. All right, couple things left to do here. By the way, I got to go. I got about 10 minutes tops that I can go here. I got a call coming up, so I got to make sure I do that. And then we got the, obviously we have the piece of this, a member show at 10 a.m. Member show at 10 a.m. Let's get to a couple of comments here. Let's see what we got. Danny Ainge is going to wait until the very last second while all the best players sign with other teams before matching whatever contract the Lakers offer for Kessler. That's a guarantee. Listen, I don't mind Danny Ainge not wanting to do business with the Lakers. That's fine. Comes with the territory. I don't mind Danny Ainge wanting to do what's in the best interest of the Utah Jazz. Comes with the territory. But I also have a difficult time thinking Walker Kessler is going to be a Laker because of those reasons. Ayton for sure opting in next year. Yeah, I mean, listen, and that like I mentioned would be the worst case scenario before the season started, because that means Ayton didn't have the season he needed to have, and it also means that Ayton's going to be a Laker for 2 years, not based off of his merit, based specifically off of he doesn't have other offers out there. We'll see what happens. Listen, teams will always take a chance. Maybe he becomes a backup. I don't know, but we'll see what happens. I just know that he never became what most Laker fans were hoping for. Slee, no one is picking up Ayton after we move on. Give me MR all day. Mitchell Robinson, rebounder, plays hard, lob threat, defense is 100% dependable. He does not have to score. I don't disagree with you on that. That ain't a starting center in the big, or that ain't a starting center in the NBA. Mitchell Robinson's a nice player. Every time I hear the Knicks talk about Mitchell Robinson, the guy's all over the place. He's all this. He's energy. He's this, that. Karl Anthony Towns starts. Mitchell Robinson comes off the bench. Mitchell Robinson's a very, very nice option as a backup center. That's not your starting center for a championship roster. That's not your future with Luka Doncic. That's the point that I'm making. It's not that he can't come in and be a nice player, but he's also not going to be the player that's ideal for the Lakers, not just next year, but moving forward as well. That's the point that I was making about some of the centers. Peyton Watson is a native Angelino that grew up a Laker fan. I'd love to bring him home. Nice player, too. Nice player. And I know Denver is going to be in a situation financially where it's going to be tough for them to bring him. That's kind of what you got to do in today's NBA. You draft, hold on to these players as long as you can, pay your money towards Aaron Gordon, Nikola Jokic, Jamal Murray, and then try to piece together everything else as best as you can. I don't disagree with Adam Auslund saying that he thinks that Denver could be the best team in the NBA. They just got to be healthy. I love their roster, but the problem is with them, they haven't been healthy all season. Why do we think that's going to change? We don't know. We'll have to wait and see if it changes or it doesn't. Okay, a couple other quick things I'm going to mention here. Lakers got the Celtics coming up on Sunday. So Clippers tonight, Celtics on Sunday. Kind of a weird start time, 3:30 tip-off. So keep that one in mind. 3:30 tip-off, Lakers and the Celtics. Looking forward to obviously being with you guys for that game as well. I'll do the post-game show. Something's happening on Sunday as well. So at 12:30, Pat Riley's statue will be unveiled. Phenomenal. Exactly what they should be doing. Pat Riley is a Laker legend. He's been a legend in other places as well, of course, with the Miami Heat, but he's a Laker legend. They will unveil his statue, and if you want to watch that, Spectrum Sportsnet at 12:30 on Sunday. Got to imagine there'll be a day where Phil Jackson's also getting a statue, but that's coming up on Sunday. Boston's a good team. So as much as we sit here, you got the Lakers and the Clippers tonight. Celtics are 36-19, second in the Eastern Conference. They played a game yesterday against the Golden State Warriors. No Steph. Porzingis made his debut. They won 121-110. Jaylen Brown, Peyton Pritchard. They just got a really good team. So I don't know what you want me to tell you. They play hard. Jason Tatum is definitely trying to come back this season, it seems like, but he might not. We'll see what eventually happens. But with or without Jason Tatum, they're a competitive team. Lakers got some work to do this weekend. I'd be disappointed if they're, honestly, because both of these games are home, there's no reason why the Lakers can't go 2-0. Now, we've seen the Lakers' inconsistency. If they went 1-1, you shouldn't be shocked. If they went 0-2, that'd be awful. I mean, just as terrible of a start as you could think of. But at the worst, they should go 1-1. I wouldn't be shocked at all. We're sitting here on Monday, Lakers go 2-0 over the weekend. Maybe I'm a little too high on the Lakers, but I don't think I am. I think that's very realistic to go 2-0. You got two home games. Clippers have some holes. Celtics have some holes. And you're playing at home. Defend home court. So I wouldn't be shocked at all if Lakers are able to do that. By the way, as we always do this, as you know, obviously making this a little bit of a weekend preview as well. Weekend preview is presented by the Wallace firm, wallacewins.com/Sliwa if you need anything, wallacewins.com/Sliwa. Let me give everyone just a quick idea as well as we look around the NBA. Some other scores or some other games that are going to be going on. Just some games that we think are good or some competitive. Lakers-Clippers tonight. No real other games tonight that I think are worth talking about. I don't think they are all that competitive. Let's see what they got tomorrow. Any good games tomorrow? Pistons and the Bulls. Rockets and the Knicks tomorrow. ABC game. That's going to actually be a really good game. So something to keep in mind as we preview the rest of the weekend. The last thing I want to make mention of, and then I'll read a few comments here before we get out of here. Last thing I'm going to make mention of, something happened yesterday. Again, something just to point out. If you're worried that the Lakers front office and the new ownership is going to take 5 years to start making changes, I'm telling you, don't worry about that. Another small, quiet thing happened yesterday that is significant to new ownership starting to make moves and starting to make changes. Dodgers executive Rosen becomes Lakers president of business operations. I mentioned a couple days ago, Tim Harris, who was with the organization for about 35 years, is stepping down after this season. Rosen has taken over that position. He's an executive for the Dodgers since 2012. Again, this has to do with the business side of things. It doesn't have to do with the basketball side of things. But these are clear indications that new ownership is making their moves. They're making their changes. So you don't got to worry about, well, do you got to wait till Jeannie busts in the 5 years and this? No, they're already making significant changes. And this is just another quiet move that gets done that is a significant change in the Lakers organization. So I just want to point that out because I think for people that are thinking, hey, what's going to happen? Are Lakers, are they going to be, do they got to wait 5 years, this, all that? None of that is happening. So I don't think you got to worry about that at all. Get a couple comments in here and then we're done. Alan, given our constraints and the composition of the team, what would you consider a successful season? Getting to the Western Conference Finals, I think would be a successful season. I do. I always hear this from Laker fans, but I don't share the same sentiment in this because I'm trying to be realistic. When somebody's like, well, what if they don't win a championship, it's not a successful season? Sure, anybody could say that. What's realistic? To me, if they lost in the first round, it's a bad season. If they got to the second round, were eliminated, it's kind of like, all right, that was kind of expected. If they won 2 rounds and got to the Western Conference Finals and lost to the Oklahoma City Thunder, and it was a well-fought Western Conference Finals, it's a successful season, as in they surpassed my expectations. You see, what's the expectations is the question. Not what's the Lakers' history, not Lakers have 17 NBA championships, not, well, if they don't win a championship, it's not a successful season. You could define it any way you want. I'm going to define it based on what my expectations are. My expectations are Lakers probably win 1 round. That's my expectations. If they won 2 rounds, got to the Western Conference Finals, I would consider that a successful season. Again, you could define it any way you want, but I'm going off of what my expectations are for the Lakers. I'm not going off of anything else. I'm not going off the history. I'm not going off what they've done in the past. I'm not going off of, but they have 17 NBA championships. I'm not going off of any of that stuff. I'm literally just strictly going off of what I just mentioned, which is what my expectations are for the Lakers. It's a great question, and it's not a bad topic to have, but for me, I'm looking at the Lakers objectively of what I think they're able to accomplish this year, and that's how I would look at it. All right, let me get 1 or 2 more comments in here, and then we're done. Thank you, everybody, for being here, by the way. I appreciate it. There's no way they're beating a top 4 team. That might be right about that. Maybe they're out in the first round. But at the end of the day, that's how I assess when I'm watching something in sports. The way I assess something when I'm watching in sports, it's complete. Let me give you a good example. Maybe it's not a good example. I'll try to give an example. Patriots got to the Super Bowl this year. Can somebody say, well, the Patriots, they won all these Super Bowls in the past, and that the Patriots are an organization, they win Super Bowls. They got to the freaking Super Bowl this year where no one expected them to. Go see where they were last season. That's a successful season. Nobody's going to tell me that they didn't have a successful season. So anyways, that's how I look at it. All right, I got to get the hell out of here. I appreciate you guys being a part of the show. Thank you very much for a solid week. I know it was a little funky. We took Wednesday off, the All-Star break, weren't reacting to games. But I do think that was a phenomenal week and a little bit of time off in the middle. Lakers and the Clippers tonight. We'll be doing a post-game show. Lakers and the Celtics coming up on Sunday. We'll be doing a post-game show. Monday, I'll be doing my regular show at 8 a.m. Looking forward to this, by the way. I think Monday, we're going to do some tests and see if this all kind of works out. But I believe on Monday, we're going to try to do a collaboration with AM570. So when I'm live on my YouTube, we'll also be live on AM570's YouTube. So something we're going to be testing out here and kind of see what it looks and how it works and everything else. So looking forward to that. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day. If you're a member, come back at 10 a.m. We'll be doing a member show. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day. And I will see you guys either at 10 a.m. or tonight after the Lakers take on the Clippers. Have a great rest of your day.